himself, all right? We already know his name is spelt like this, like juice, but it's pronounced Bice. So Rico DeVille Bice, a.k.a. FBG Casino. It says, I, the under-designed complainant, being duly sworn, state the following is true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. On or about November 14, 2025, in Clayton County, in the Northern District of Georgia, the defendant did knowingly and willfully combine to conspire, confederate, and agree and have a tacit understanding with others known and unknown to violate Title 21 United States Code Section 8418, that is to knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance, and said conspiracy involving 400 grams or more of a mixture of substance or substance containing a detectable amount of fentanyl, a Schedule II controlled substance pursuant to Title 21, and then go into the codes. Okay, cool. Let's see what's going on now. The affidavit. Shade Childress, a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, United States Department of Justice, depose and say under the penalty of perjury that the following is true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. The introduction. 1. I submit this affidavit in support of an application for a criminal complaint against the following person, Rico Bice, aka FBG Casino. There is a probable cause to believe that on November 14, 2025, in the Northern District of Georgia, Rico Bice, aka Casino, knowingly and willfully combined to conspire, confederate, agree, the same thing I just read to you, that is knowingly, intentionally to possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance, and said conspiracy over 400 grams or more of the mixture, which I just told you. So we just read this down to here, all in, because the Schedule II controlled substance, all right, all in violation of Title 21 United States Code Section 846. Specifically, this affidavit details that on November 14, 2025, Rico DeVille Bice and David Estevan Montillo Diaz were found inside the house at 1082 Holly Circle, Forest Park, Georgia. They give the zip code, with approximately 17 kilograms of suspected fentanyl and an estimated 300,000, which they tallied about 380,000 in U.S. currency. Now, the affiant's background as special agent. As a special agent with the FBI agency, I am an investigative or law enforcement officer of the United States within the meaning of the 18 U.S.C. 2510(7). Therefore, I am empowered to conduct investigations of and to make arrests for offenses enumerated in 18 U.S.C. 2516. I have been a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation since April 2023. My duties include the investigation of violations of federal criminal law throughout the Northern District of Georgia. Since my employment, I have been assigned to and have participated in numerous organized crime enforcement task force investigations. Through both formal and on-the-job training, I have developed experience in investigations dealing with drug trafficking organizations, DTOs, and drug offenses set forth in the United States Code. As an FBI special agent, I am authorized to investigate violations of federal law, to execute warrants issued under the authority of the United States. I am familiar with the ways in which criminal enterprises conduct their business, including but not limited to their methods of importing and distributing controlled substances, their use of telephones, and their use of numerical codes and coded words to conduct their transactions. I'm familiar with practices used by criminal enterprises involving the collections of money proceeds of illegal acts and methods of money laundering used to conceal natures of the proceeds, including the language and terms that are used to disguise the source and nature of the profits from their illegal acts. I have participated in investigations involving the use of electronic surveillance techniques to include, but not too limited to, court-authorized wire intercepts, which is the same thing. Wire intercepts, video surveillance, global position and satellite, GPS trackers, pen threats. So now they got the Title III, they got the Title II, the Title III warrant and affidavit order. They got all of that. Okay. So once the feds get that now they get sanctions to be able to get this now. So they could go through trash pools, go through your trash. They get pen registers, your phone, all of these different things, trace devices, vehicle trackers, and body-worn monitor devices. These investigations have included violations of statutes listed under Titles 18 and 21 of the United States Code, as well as violations under the Georgia state law. So now when you get your Frank's hearing, if you're granted a Frank's hearing, these are some of the things that you would try to be getting thrown out. You want to get some of the wiretap surveillances that they have against you, the trash pulls, right? The traces that they got on you. All of these types of things are some of the things that you're going to try to get thrown out, and you don't want some of these things to get put before a jury and for them to see this. So who knows if he's going to be able to get granted Frank's hearing. A lot of people don't get granted them, but if he is, he could probably you get a whole nother hearing to try to get some of these things thrown out. And, hopefully he gets that. I have participated in investigations that identified subjects and co-conspirators through telephone records, police reporting, financial documents, drug ledgers, photographs, and other documents. Furthermore, I have led and participated in investigations concerning the identification of co-conspirators through electronic devices and services such as social media platforms, cell phones, and computers. I have also participated in, see what I mean about all of this, man? Hopefully he ain't got Future tied up into nothing, man. It ain't been about Future being tied, because you don't have to be tied into nothing. You could just answer to saying something to something, okay? Once you know a crime, you're supposed to report a crime. He could be saying a crime, or, yo, bro, this man done played me on some money. Once you got knowledge of it, they can tie you into conspiracies. It's conspiracy, bro. See what I'm saying? You don't know what could be on devices. You know what I mean? Just because it's just like this, the indictment is this, that don't mean that things can't drop on top of this. We don't know what's going on. You feel me? It's just started out. All right, cool. This is just a complaint. All right. Cell phones, computers. I have also participated in and conducted debriefs of individuals who were arrested and later cooperated with law enforcement. I have participated in investigations in which the court authorized interceptions of communications or other electronic surveillance tools were utilized to further that investigation. Now, based on my training and experience and conversations with other law enforcement personnel, I have become familiar with methods utilized in criminal enterprises. I know criminal enterprises often require the use of a telephone facility to include various messaging platforms installed on the telephone facility to negotiate times, places, schemes, and manners for illegal acts and for arranging the disposition of proceeds from the illegal acts. Now, from my training and my experience, I know that it is common for co-conspirators within the DTO, the Drug Trafficking Organization, the DTO, to use multiple vehicles to transport controlled substances to make drug deals or to transport controlled substances to stash houses. I know that vehicles will sometimes be utilized to stash the controlled substances in hope to evade law enforcement from detection. From my training and experience, I know that it is common for drug traffickers to carry firearms with them for personal protection as they engage in drug trafficking and money laundering activities with others. I also know that firearms and other weapons are commonly kept in the physical location in which illegal drugs and illegal proceeds are stored for protection of the drugs and the money, as well as those responsible for the drugs. Now, the statements contained within this affidavit are based in part on information derived from my personal participation in this investigation and through interviews with and analysis of reports submitted by other law enforcement officers. I also base these statements on my experience and my background as a special agent with the FBI, as well as information provided to me by other law enforcement personnel and on information provided by confidential sources. That's scary. Okay. Following, he said, no, I'm sorry. The following is based on my own investigation and investigations conducted by other law enforcement agents, including oral and written reports by other law enforcement officers, search warrants in this and other investigations, physical and electronic surveillance, interviews subpoenaed, and public records, database checks, searches, phone analysis, and other investigation and information. My interpretations of certain statements are set forth following those statements and are based upon my knowledge of this investigation and my training and my experience. Sources of information. Let me just check on the stream. Salute to everybody in the building. You already know, make sure y'all all dropping likes. First of all, drop likes because I dropped out of school and I learned to read from the Reading Rainbow. The Reading Rainbow, I can do anything.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
I'm literally doing anything right now in front of your face, bro. You see what I'm saying? When I found out that LeVar Burton, the dude from the Star Trek Enterprise, was the dude that taught me how to read, bro, I was traumatized, bro. I still got PTSD behind that, bro. I didn't even know mine was on the mothership, homie. Never knew he was on that ship. But yeah, let's get back to this. Yeah, I dropped likes. The affidavit is based upon my personal knowledge derived from my participation in this investigation, information that I have learned from discussions with special agents and task force officers of the FBI and other law enforcement officers, from the review of written reports of investigations, arrests, and seizures, from the review of reports of physical surveillance conducted by the state and local officers or other federal agents, from the review of telephone toll records. Ding, that's when you're told, when your phone pinging, homie, when your phone pinging. Because when they start going through the paperwork, telephone toll analysis shows that a call came in at this time. You responded. A telephone record toll analysis showed that you responded. Telephone toll analysis shows the messages that are being back and forth, pinging back and forth. That's what the telephone toll analysis is going to show. From electronic surveillance techniques, included but not limited to the review of recorded or intercepted communications, from the review of reports and debriefed of sources of information and witnesses and information from other records and documents obtained in this investigation. We don't know if he is target telephone number one. He most likely could be target telephone number one. When the feds go, they get the affidavit, they get all the confidential sources. You got CIs, confidential informants, and then you got individuals that's just cooperating. They don't get paid. Actual confidential informants, they get paid. They're working with the government. They even get taxes off the seizures. So when they seize money and forfeit, like your houses and your cars and all those types of stuff, people that are confidential informants in the case get pieced off percentages of whatever the forfeitures are or whatever the seizures are. See what I'm saying? But then they got people that are just cooperating for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like in like the woman that was dealing with Big Meech, Tammy Cowens. She ended up locking up a dude named Terry White. This is her first time. When she ended up working and flipping on Cuffy Gatlin, she was paid at this time. But the first time she set up a guy that she was in a relationship with. His name was Terry White, a big dude from Atlanta. He was getting money out there. And she set him up at first. You feel me? And when she set him up, she ended up getting paid, even though she wasn't on the books to be a paid informant. She got piece of it because they said her information was just so vital to the situation and to the case that they ended up giving her a percentage. You see what I'm saying? So once they tally up all of these people, hold on, let me get back to the case. Where's that? Cool. All right, information and obtaining an investigation. All right, cool. Unless otherwise noted, wherever everybody don't know about cases and stuff, so I just try to explain things because different people watch it. Sometimes people message me and ask me stuff because I've been covering cases on my channel for a while. All right, so to whoever knows, you know what I mean, y'all just bear with me. Wherever in this affidavit, I assert that a statement was made, the information was provided by another law enforcement officer who may have had either direct or hearsay knowledge of the statement, to whom I have spoken or whose report I have read and reviewed. Such statements are stated in substance unless otherwise indicated. Wherever in this affidavit I state a belief, such belief is based upon my training and experience and the information obtained through this investigation. Because this affidavit is being submitted for the limited purpose of seeking the requested criminal complaint and arrest warrant, I have not included each and every fact known about this investigation. Now, probable cause. On November 14, 2025, at approximately 10 p.m., FBI, 10 p.m., they ran down. Whew, that, they usually be running down in the morning. Yeah, they got them off guard. FBI Atlanta and DEA Atlanta executed a search warrant on a single-family residence at 1082 Holly Circle, Forest Park, Georgia. The residence is a vacation rental property that is listed on sites such as Airbnb. Before executing the search, agents saw two vehicles parked in a driveway, one of which, a 2023 Rivian bearing Georgia license plates, whatever, was parked under the carport and is registered to FBG Casino, Rico, at an address in Atlanta, Georgia. The second vehicle was a white four-door sedan that was occupied by one male who was in possession of a metal, but whose exact involvement is still being investigated. As agents began executing the search warrant and were given verbal commands for the male to exit the white vehicle, the defendant Rico Bice, aka Casino, but referred to hereafter as Bice, and a female ran out of the residence through a side door. Agents apprehended Casino and the female at the rear of the entrance. Casino was in possession of two cellular devices and a rubber-banded stack of U.S. currency, which they said was $4,000. That's what they said on the report just now when they spoke. They said the exact was to be determined. We understand from the news report that they said it was $4,000, but when they went back in the house, they recovered $380,000. Okay. The agents gave verbal commands for others to exit the residence, and a male identified as David Esteban Montillo Diaz, referred to hereafter as Diaz, eventually came out. Diaz, who is a resident of Southern California, which they're trying to tie him to the cartels because that's where they know that the cartels have the big connections and they're bringing allegedly the work across the borders. Okay, was the only person inside the house. After all individuals on the scene were detained and the agents cleared the residence, they began their search pursuant to the search warrant. In plain view throughout the kitchen area, on the stove, and in a black duffel bag, the agents found an estimated total of 17 keys of suspected fentanyl in the form of kilogram-sized bricks, as well as an estimated 300,000 in U.S. currency in a cardboard box. Based on my training, okay, this is how it looked. Okay, let me screenshot this. See what I mean? This is why I try to get to the work for y'all like this. I haven't been live that much, but when I'm live, this is how I'm doing it, bro. I ain't really with the fluff, homie. You know what I'm saying? You ain't seeing all of this like this. People just want to run with a video and just react. We're not reacting, bro. We're going to give you the content, you know what I'm saying, and try to break it down for you. You know what I'm saying? That's why I bring up the case like this, so we can see the pictures and all. Like, all right, cool. So this is how it was when they ran in the spot. They was hot. Then you ran out the crib, bricks on the stove. Bruh. How you leave the oatmeal on the stove, homie? It's crazy. Look. And then they got the bag. So this is the bag that was in there, and a bag of Funyuns in there too, bruh. Funyuns, you're getting a bad name. This is a nasty situation, though, man. This is a nasty situation. Then they ran down on them at night. They would have never thought it would have went down at night. You usually would think that when them people run down, whether state, local, or whatever, you always think that they're going to run down on you in the morning time, 6 a.m., 5 a.m., you know what I'm saying? So I know they caught them seriously off guard. Look at the money was in the box like that. Cash out, homie. Cashing out. Cashing out in the box like that, bro. It's crazy. And experience this amount of Fenty is intended for distribution, which, my opinion, is substantiated by the large amount of currency that was found in the residence. Agents found 3 or more rubber banded stacks of U.S. currency in a bag belonging to FBG Casino. When an agent asked Casino to whom the bag should be given, he first said to his mother, and then he claimed it was not his. Oh. It's crazy. He said it was not his bag. The agent told Casino that the agents were not going to keep his bag. Casino again said, give it to his mother then. That's not good. For the agent's safety, they did not open the packaging to all the kilogram bricks of suspected Fenty, but they were able to see through the packaging that some of the kilograms appeared to have a purple tint. For this reason, the agent did not perform the field test on these bricks, but will submit them for the laboratory testing. The one packaging of the 1 kilogram brick agents did open was black in color and stamped with an LV Louis Vuitton logo on it. As you can see right here, it got a Louis Vuitton logo actually stamped into the brick, and you can see it's black, right? And a field test on this brick was positive for the presence of Fenty. Agents also found money, a money counter, and a food sealer in the kitchen area, which I know from my training and my experience as items commonly found in locations where drugs are being distributed. Right, let's take a picture of that real quick. That's crazy. Let's take a picture of that. Where drugs proceeds are being processed, where drugs are being processed as well. He says, in one of the bedrooms of the residence, agents found 4 partial kilogram-sized bricks of suspected Fenty. In another, I think I got bricks all around the yard. This shit is crazy, bro. It's like fucking 3 little pigs, bro. House full of bricks, homie. House full of bricks. In another bedroom, the agents found a handgun underneath a bed, the owner of which the agents will continue to investigate. Moreover, the agents found 2 cellular devices in the residence that were damaged in a way that suggested that someone been trying to destroy them. Now, both Diaz and Casino were arrested and booked into Clayton County Jail on state drug trafficking charges. Now, the conclusion. Based on the foregoing, my training and my experience and the information obtained through the investigation to date, I respectfully submit that there is probable cause to believe that on November 14, 2025, in the Northern District of Georgia, Casino did knowingly and willfully combine to conspire to confederate, agree, and to sit to understanding with others known and unknown to violate the Title 21 United States Code, Section 841A, that is to knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance, said conspiracy involving 400 grams or more of a mixture of a substance containing a detectable amount of fentanyl, and they go into all of it, parpadinol or whatever, they go into all of this stuff. And pursuant to Title 21, the United States Code, Section 841B, 1A, and all in violation of Title 21 United States Code, Section 846. Okay, let me just see, because they got something else that was on the docket. Let me just make sure that it's nothing else that's on the docket real quick. Okay, because that's the first thing that popped up on the docket. That's the actual complaint. So they got the warrant issued. Motion. Oh, they sent a motion for his detention. Let me just see what it looked like. I'll show it to y'all. Is it the same thing? Having offensive the maximum imprisonment. Now I'm gonna read this to y'all too for him. Yeah. All right, cool. Where we at? I'm gonna get this to y'all too. But yeah, man, crazy situation, bro. Most definitely, he's in a bad one, bro. He's most definitely in a bad situation. This Rico, he's in a bad situation here. Let me see. I'm gonna bring up that for y'all though real quick because it says a motion for detention. So we're just gonna take a gander at it. There was 2 of them. Okay, there was 2 filed. I'll check the next one first just to make sure. Salute to everybody. Y'all just make sure y'all dropping likes. Make sure everybody subscribing to Uda on Go as well as subscribing here to Comedy on Go. Everybody run it up. Let's get it to 500. Let's get it to 1,000 over here. Be a part of my main channel, Uda on Go. We had 25,000. Soon going to be at 26. So shout out to that. Shout out to everybody that's a part of that. Make sure you hit the notifications on both. If you're subscribed to Uda on Go already, unsubscribe, subscribe back now, and just hit the notification bells onto all because YouTube has been knocking off all of the notifications. Nobody really gets them anymore. So I'm just letting you know that. All right, cool. Reasons for detention. All right. This is a 3-pager, so I'm going to read to you the 10-page document. Okay, cool. Let me bring this up for y'all. Cool. It's a 9-page, actually. 9-pager. All right, cool. Where we at? 9-page document. This is where we at now. Let's see what's going on. All right, cool. So this is the motion for detention of why they want to keep him. All right. The government supplemental motion for detention. The United States of America by counsel Theodore Hertzberg. We're going to go into their names. We already know this 18 USC 3142 E and F eligibility of the case. The case is eligible for detention order because of this this case involves an offense having a maximum sentence of life imprisonment or in unalivement. A drug offense having a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years or more, and a serious risk of that the defendant will flee. The reason for detention, as explained in the greater detail below, the court should keep the defendant Rico detained because there are no conditions of release that will responsibly assure the future appearance as required and reasonably assured the safety of the community. Now the facts, they go into the facts again, that he fled. The rubber band stack of cash that he had. Now they showing that. Remember, in that right there, they didn't have the specifics. They said the facts, the cash needed to be determined. Okay, so they understand here. They didn't determine this money because now they're saying that this is 380,000 cash. So we understand that this has been updated, but this has not been updated. So there's some updates that's happening in this paperwork. Let's just find them. Okay, because I've read all of this basically. The food sealer. They got the pictures like this, set to set. Let me get the screenshot. Y'all can get y'all screenshots if y'all want them to. I'll take myself out the picture if you need me to. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all can use these kind of pictures. Because this is on Paysa. A lot of y'all don't have Paysa. You got to pay for it and pay for it for the year and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? With a picture like this, you probably could use it for a thumbnail. You probably use it for your channel. The money. This is the actual picture. No logos, no nothing. You know what I mean? So take it for yourself. Take it for your channel. Your Instagram. This is a good picture for the, you know what I mean, for your walls. So you can take it. Let me know if y'all need it. Okay, so they go into one. This is the subtext. Criminal, the suspected of the fentanyl is in the residence. Approximately 21 keys. Okay, cool. In the Goyard bag. That was the Goyard bag that we was talking about. So what they said it was a Louis Vuitton bag, but they're wrong because it was a Goyard bag. So the Goyard bag is correct. That this is the exact Goyard bag. And they showed a picture of him handling a Goyard bag of the same look. You know what I mean? Could be a different Goyard bag. Who knows? But I'm just saying, you got bag with a Goyard. That's the same Goyard. So that's not looking good for your case as well. That's the same Goyard bag. You know what I mean? That's not a good look. See? You got him in the Goyard bag. I could get y'all screenshots if y'all need them. Right, him in the Goyard. Right, boom. Okay, the totality of the circumstances here strongly suggests that the defendant Diaz was selling kilograms to, oh man, they saying that the Spanish dude, they actually interacted. They basically ran down on a deal, basically going down. They saying that Duke is basically was in a transaction with Casino at the time when they ran down. That's crazy that they're suggesting this. Let's read this again. The totality of the circumstances here strongly suggests that defendant Diaz was selling keys of Fenty to Casino. Defendant Diaz is a resident of Southern California, and it is highly unlikely that someone would travel to Atlanta, Georgia from the Southern California to purchase the keys of bricks of Fenty, which typically come across the southwest border of Mexico. Moreover, the defendant Diaz's criminal history, which include 3 arrests for, let's see what they're for, drug trafficking in Southern California since 2022, 2 of which included the possession of a firearm, make it clear that the defendant Diaz is a drug source of supply. So the defendant Casino, a resident of Atlanta metropolitan area, had a rubber band bandit stack of 4,000 cash in his pocket and 80,000 in the rubber banded stacks of cash in his designer bag inside the house. So that's the 80. So there's 300. So that's how they totaled that to 380,000 now. Okay, now we get it. He had 4 in his pocket. He had 8K in the bag, in the Goyard bag, and 300K in the box. Cool. The stacks were consistent in appearance with the rest of the rubber banded stacks of cash in the box in the kitchen. So this is how they tie that money that's in the house to being your money. Because even if you try to say, because at first, remember they said, yo, who we give this bag to or something like that. And he was like, yo, give it to my mom. But then he was like, nah, it ain't mine. But then they said, yo, man, we don't plan on keeping this bag. Then he said, yo, give it to my mom. Stuff like that, right? So now they're able to kind of tie it to you because it's consistent. The same rubber bands that's on this, the same rubber bands, you know, even if it's not, they're going to tie it in this way. Cool. Based on the amount of Fenty and its kilogram brick form, the defendant Diaz was not selling personal use amounts of Fenty. So they're ruling out that you saying that you're using this for your own self, when people say they on drugs and it's my habit. And even if the defendant Casino was only buying a few keys of Fenty, it was distribution and not personal use quantities. Therefore, based on these combined facts, it logically follows that the defendant Diaz was the fentanyl source of supply in this transaction, and that the defendant Casino was buying keys of Fenty for local distribution. Moreover, as the defendant Diaz appeared to be the only person staying in the vacation rental, it appears that he was trusted enough by whomever he was working for or with to be responsible for the 21 keys of Fenty, valued at approximately $483,000 and approximately $380,000 cash that was in the house. Now, they said, according to the agents currently selling, a brick is selling for approximately $23,000 in the metropolitan area right now at the moment. So that's another subtext. So it's good to know that. The defendant Vice involvement with approximately the 21 bricks and the 380,000. Now they've totaled the money. Now we understand in cash is alarming and significant threat to the public safety, because only 2 milligrams of Fenty is a potentially fatal dose. And these 21 kilograms could represent the dependent on their purity as many as 10.5 million fatal doses. It would be difficult to find anyone today who is unaware that fentanyl kills tens of thousands of people of all ages in the United States each year. Knowing, damn, man, it's crazy what they did, man. Fentanyl, bro, it's not yay, it's not nothing else. Even dope and all that, they'll get at you for some dope. But just fentanyl, we know what they're trying to do with fentanyl, bro. They're trying to get this up out of here, bro. It requires a distribution level of disregard for human life for anyone to engage in the illicit traffic and or sale of fentanyl. Such a person poses a danger to the community by putting profits before people, while law enforcement has not yet determined to whom the firearm in a search residence belong. The added danger of a weapon in this drug trafficking scene only increases the government's concern for the public safety should the defendant Casino be released from custody. I wonder how they're going to charge the weapon, because there's a couple ways they could charge the weapon. Because now this weapon is not just a weapon. It's not just a gun charge. This is a federal gun charge now. Because, you know, being in the streets and being in the state or whatever the case, you get a gun charge like, oh, yeah, you're facing a year, you're facing 5 years or something like that. This is not that. That ain't this. This is in the commission of a drug trafficking offense. Okay. So this weapons possession could be charged in a couple of ways, how they can charge this weapons possession. But it's going to be a weapons possession in the furtherance of a drug trafficking offense. So this is a whole different type of gun charge. Okay. Whole different type of gun charge. You could get 10 years for this, for the gun. In furtherance of a drug-related trafficking crime. You could get years like that for a gun. You don't have to use it. You don't have to squeeze the trigger. You don't have to do nothing. You don't have to threaten nobody with it. You don't have to show it. You don't even have to show it. Just because I possess it, okay? Let's say they didn't know that I possessed the weapon because I got to throw it out and they locked me up for this whole RICO and this whole thing's going on, but they never knew about the weapon, right? But then my co-defendant starts to tell him, and he starts talking, and he says, yo, man, which I didn't know is that he had a gun the whole time, and when we had, now I'm still getting charged with the gun, even though it's a ghost gun. Even though the gun's not there, I'm still going to get charged for the weapon, right? And you're still going to get, depending on the two ways that they can charge the weapon. I'll go into it if you want me to break that down for you too. Yeah, so this is not good too, that they have a weapon too as well. The defendant bites his criminal history. Okay, they're going to go into his history. Casino is 41 years old and a criminal record extended back almost 24 years with felony convictions for drug possession and possession of weapons during felony offenses. The defendant, hold up, let's go into this first. Let's read the subtext. The value is the 23,000. We understand that. 4, they said 21 kilograms is equivalent. Okay, cool. 21. Oh man. Okay, cool. 21 million milligrams. That's how come they're saying that's how many people could be unalived by each fatal dose. It is possible that these convictions fell under Georgia's first offender designation, but additional research is needed to verify such. Okay. First offender. Do you think he could fall under that? Don't know. Let's see his criminal record. Defendant Casino has been arrested more than 25 times for felonies, misdemeanors, probation violations, and failures to appear for crimes involving drug possession, burglary, theft by receiving stolen property, willful obstruction of law enforcement, driving on a suspended license and registration, driving under influence, and abandonment of a child. That one's crazy. However, all of that's crazy, but I'm from the street, so it's all crazy. But abandonment of a child, that's crazy. Where does that just threw me for a loop? When I'm hearing all those other things, then they throw that one in there. That one was just crazy. However, many of these arrests did not result in formal charges or convictions. Nevertheless, the defendant Casino's frequent contact with law enforcement during all of his adult life is concerning to the government, and with his previous failures to appear, the government has no confidence that the defendant Casino would remain law-abiding or appear for future court hearings should he be released from custody. Now the defendant Casino's lack of candor is your truth, about his financial situation. Now, defendant Casino works in the music business under the stage name Casino, despite his claim that he only makes $2,166.67 a month as a studio manager at 5 Star Studios. The defendant Bice, aka Casino, has previously been referred to as the CEO of record label Freebandz Entertainment. Now, he is also a performer, appearing with high-profile artists on songs titled Move That Dope and Ran With the Dope, Back in the Trap, Bag It Up, Been Selling, Deals, and El Chapo. It's crazy the names of the songs that they picked to go in there, because I know he got way more songs than that.
Oh no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
Bruh, move that dope. Move that dope. Run with that dope. Come on, bruh.
Oh no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
You see how they get you, bro? You making songs, and I get it, bro. You know what I mean? I'm from the hood, so I get it. People making what they're making. We understand music. We understand rap, so we could get it. But look at the song titles that they actually chose to put in the actual federal criminal complaint. Move That Dope. Run With That Dope. Back in the Trap. Bag It Up. Look, it's like you telling a person. The way they put it together, though, they've actually put it together to like form a sentence. Do you see what I'm saying to you, man? These people are ill in what they do. They said, move that dope. Run with that dope. Back in the trap. Bag it up. Been selling deals. when you've been selling, then you make a deal and you El Chapo. Do you see how they just worded that, bro? That is crazy, man. These people get, bro, it's crazy how they tie it up. The government is concerned that the defendant Casino has not been forthright with the court about his financial situation. For example, the website of the complex he claims to live in shows that an apartment of his unit size rents for, hold up, let's see what the Freebandz CEO, is he the CEO? They got that. Even if he not, they got him as it. Approximately $2,000 each month. So the apartment where he's staying, basically, they saying is listed as approximately $2,000 each month, nearly all that he claims to make. The address the defendant Casino provided as a secondary location he could live with the mother of his youngest child is the address at which law enforcement records show that the defendant Casino has been currently living, or at least until recently. That Atlanta resident is nearly 12,000 square feet in size and valued at approximately $4 million, purchased in 2020 for $2.8 million. This same address appears on the defendant Vice's driver's license, and he has registered 3 vehicles in his name at the same address in the last 6 months. That's crazy how they tie you in, bro. A 2023 Rivian R1's SUV, which the defendant drove to the November 14, 2025 fentanyl transaction, a 2023 Mercedes-Benz CLA sedan, and a 2020 BMW SUV. His willingness and incentive and means to flee. Just days ago, on November 14, 2025, the defendant Casino fled from law enforcement when they were executing a search warrant, trying to escape responsibility for the criminal activity in which he was engaged. Facing a 10-year mandatory minimum prison term gives the defendant Casino more than enough incentive to flee or fail to appear for court. Moreover, he has previously shown a willingness to not appear for court hearings and to violate the terms of his probation. The government is concerned about the defendant Casino's lack of transparency with the probation about his financial situation, which is a factor to be considered in determining his detention or his release. In addition to his criminal history, it appears that the defendant Casino has the financial means to flee the jurisdiction if he chooses to do so. Now, the rebuttal presumption. The United States will invoke the rebuttal presumption that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of the defendant Casino as required and the safety of the community pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 3142E3. The presumption applies because there is probable cause to believe that the defendant Casino committed a drug offense having a minimum term of imprisonment of more than 10 years. The United States will not invoke the rebuttal presumption that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure that the safety of any other person and the community pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 3142E2. Now, in conclusion, based on the totality of the circumstances, the United States does not believe that there are conditions that will reasonably assure the community's safety from the defendant Casino's fentanyl trafficking, or that will reasonably assure the defendant Casino's appearance at future court hearings should he not be held in custody. Therefore, the government respectfully asks the court to order the defendant Casino to be detained or remanded, basically in court. And they go into it. So respectfully, so they ain't got no judge on this yet. But they got the U.S. Attorney, Thomas Forsyth. Yeah, Thomas Forsyth. Yeah. Bad situation for bro, though. Tell me what y'all thinking, though. What y'all think about the situation. Y'all get in the comments, man. Bad situation for FBG Casino, man. But could this lead to a bad situation for Future? That's the question. We already know when the feds start looming through your backyard, when they start going through devices, you never know what they can find when they go through devices. You've seen that in the case. Cuffy Gatlin. I mentioned this case a lot because I was covering this case on my channel. Cuffy Gatlin is the guy that was claiming that Big Meech snitched on him. He still feels this way, but it's not put in the paperwork that Big Meat snitched. You know what I mean? Tammy Cowens, who was with 50 doing the BMF series, she's the one who got Big Meat tied all into the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? She got his name tied all into that. She's the one who said all these things. You know what I'm saying? I had so much of the paperwork at the time. I don't know if this was it at the time. Is these things it? Nah, this wasn't it. Man X and all that, but whatever. But we understand, like, even in that case, all right. So he was set up in a conspiracy by Tammy Cowens. She set him up in a conspiracy. After she set him up in a conspiracy, the government got the affidavits, which was all of her words that she said. She tried to go against these things that she said, though. Everything that she said was how they got the warrant. That's how they got the title, the affidavit warrant. That's how they get to bug your stuff, trash pulls, and do all the shit that feds like to do. That's how they get it. Right? So now he's under investigation. His phone becomes target telephone number 1, Cuffy Gatlin, right? While he's under investigation, remember, his phone is target telephone number 1. While under investigation, they find out that some people has been alive because he's also charged with 2 unalivings of 2 people. You see what I'm saying? He was 2 people were unalived, and he was charged with their unalivings as well. But they didn't know about the unalivings. The way they caught onto the unalivings is because his phone was tapped. You feel me? So they got onto the unalivings. We don't know what they got in computers. We don't know what they got on phones. You know what I mean? Most likely ain't got Future tied into any of this. So I'm not leaning that Future would be. Why would Future be tied into something like this? But for Future's name to be involved in this alone, because he is close to Future, this is not a good look for Future. You know what I mean? This is not a good look. Future's a person that's more off the radar. We was hearing some of these things in relation to Lil Baby, especially after Young Thug. Like I said, so much so, Lil Baby even changed his name of his label. You know what I mean? And even got a lot of people, especially from Atlanta, thinking about, because when you're growing up and you got your hood and you got your name in your clique, and then you go up in the industry, you got the name in your clique. You know what I mean? Like YNW or whatever the case may be. But now, just because you got the name in your clique and then you go into the industry, now they could tie that in. You know what I mean? So we watched Lil Baby change the name of his label based upon stuff like that. You know what I mean? Is it relevant? Is it not? You let me know. But it's lights out. You know what I mean? They're looking like lights out for FBG Casino, man. 21 bricks of fentanyl. It's looking like, the way they saying it, Diaz is the source of supply. You listed as a trafficker. Yeah, it's a bad situation for him, though. Y'all get in the comments. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking about this. Y'all subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Uda on Get It, though. Make sure y'all subscribing to Uda on Go. Subscribe here to Comedy on Go. Subscribe to Uda on Go. I'm going to start going live back on my channel a little bit. You already know. I'll try to go live on that in a little minute. Cash App, Uda on Go. PayPal, Uda on Go. Everything Uda on Go. Subscribe to Uda on Go on Instagram and TikTok. Run me up on Instagram and TikTok. I'm most definitely active on both platforms. I'll be posting uploads on there as well. Yeah, I'm just building up all the chat on the platforms. So make sure that you're subscribed everywhere so you know what's going on.